We go live once again to Caracas as the activities are underway on the 195th anniversary of the death of liberator Simón Bolívar. We are looking at live images at the moment. Also at the same time is the National Assembly that is underway at this moment, rejecting the recent U.S. statements and imposition of a naval blockade that has been described as absurd and outrageous by the different powers of Venezuela, who have also pledged their commitment to the constitutional order and to the government of Nicolás Maduro in the face of what they are describing as an escalation and outright aggressions from an imperialist power that is now at this moment stating that what they are after were the natural resources of Venezuela. In a recent post last night, U.S. President Donald Trump described the Venezuelan resources, oil reserves as theirs, and directed their request at Venezuela of giving these resources back and using this pretext that goes against international law as the reason for the escalation of aggressions and also for the reason of the recently imposed naval blockade that pretends to block ships going out and in from Venezuela, although a recent statement of the state-owned company PDVSA has stated that shipments of oil and production and exports are ongoing normally at this moment. Different powers of Venezuela have been pronouncing themselves at this moment in rejection of the recent escalations imposed by the United States, showing as well that the pretexts have shifted to showing that the real objective behind these aggressions are the natural resources of the Bolivarian nation. And in that context, we see on screen, we are looking at live images from Venezuela with the National Assembly on one hand, with lawmakers that continue to address the topic that they were summoned by the President of the National Assembly, Jorge Rodriguez, and are rejecting the recent imperialist statements by the United States. And also now we are looking at the act of anniversary of 195th anniversary of Simón Bolívar's passing, an important day in which both topics are coinciding in one call to remember the historical path of Venezuela towards freedom against imperialism that had the face and the way of liberator Simón Bolívar at the time, and is now being renewed with new strength in a different time, in a different geopolitical context, against the aggressions of the United States. We're looking at the images. We see that live from Caracas is also Executive Vice President Delcy Rodriguez, present at this commemoration of the 195th anniversary of Simón Bolívar's passing. We were saying this happens in the context. Well, at the same time, different powers of Venezuela have been rejecting. We heard from the leaders, the authorities of the Bolivarian National Armed Forces, who reaffirmed their commitment to the constitutional order and to the government of Nicolás Maduro in the face of the recent U.S. aggressions. We also heard from the Attorney General, Tarek William Saab, also expressing his firm commitment and rejection to the recent escalations of the United States, who have, for the past month, been escalating the aggressions in international waters close to Venezuela, also imposing a narrative that had shifted from one pretext to the other, all the while increasing the military presence in the Caribbean Sea as a clear threat to Venezuela and the region. Let's listen to some of what is happening here in the 195th anniversary of Simón Bolívar's passing.
Citizens, our liberator has given us till the last minute of his existence. Hear him, and let's respect his wishes. These wishes that should be a sacred law for us, and ungrateful if we violate it. The national ruin would be the result of it, and Colombia would end its existence with its great creator. The liberator, when he left for us, he called us to be united, to work all for the good, to be free from anarchy. Let's do it like he wanted. Let's go together and let's swear on his grave to be faithful to his wish and inspire his last vows for the happiness of the country. So we will honor his memory and he will pay a great gratitude debt. Cartagena's
We're listening to some of the words as we are looking at the 195th anniversary of Simón Bolívar's passing in Caracas. We were saying that different authorities of the Venezuelan government were present at this event. We were seeing images of Vice President Delcy Rodriguez. We see her now join the event that is commemorating the liberator Simón Bolívar at a day in which also different parts of the government have been rejecting the recent escalation of aggressions by the United States in a recent show of the imperialist ambitions. In the face of those ambitions, the struggle of Simón Bolívar has always led the Bolivarian revolution down the path of continuing to fight for their own sovereignty and their right to their own resources that are now threatened by the U.S. authorities led by President Donald Trump. So both events and both actions are coinciding today. We were seeing just now images from the National Assembly where National Assembly President Jorge Rodriguez was leading an extraordinary session in rejection of the recent unilateral imposition of a naval blockade that pretends to block the oil ships in particular coming in and out of Venezuela, something that has been rejected by international law experts, also analysts going over the pretexts that the United States president was using, calling them completely false pretexts of calling the natural resources of Venezuela the property of the United States. Well, that is happening while at the same time in Caracas, authorities are celebrating the 195th anniversary of the passing of liberator Simón Bolívar at an act that we are looking at right now with some commemorative words that we were just listening. And in representation of the Venezuelan government is the executive vice president, also Minister of Hydrocarbons, one of the most important areas of the industry and one of the most targeted by the imperialist aggressions, that is Delcy Rodriguez at this moment. We see her on screen with the rest of the authorities as well, showing their presence and showing their support, the importance of commemorating and celebrating not only the life but the legacy of Simón Bolívar at a moment in which Venezuela is once again the target of the imperialist aggressions. We're looking at images from the 195th anniversary of Liberator Simón Bolívar from Caracas, as we were saying, a powerful image of the different national authorities that have been expressing themselves since late last night and also throughout the day-to-day in rejection of the recent escalation of U.S. aggressions against Venezuela. We were saying the Executive Vice President Delcy Rodriguez was there, as well as the Chief of the Bolivarian National Armed Forces, Vladimir Padrino Lopez, also the Minister of Interior, Justice and Peace, Diosdado Cabello, and Secretary General of the PSUV, different authorities that are taking part in this event that commemorates the life of Liberator Simón Bolívar and also his legacy, a legacy that has been so important for the ears of the Venezuelan nation, but in particular for the Bolivarian process started by Commander Hugo Chavez, who, following that legacy of Simón Bolívar, decided to start a new independent process, a new sovereign process that is underway at this moment, continued by this government of Nicolás Maduro, and facing only the most recent escalation of United States aggression against this process. We've been looking as well and following closely different reactions by the different experts, analysts, political figures, both in Venezuela, outside in the United States as well, describing the most recent statements of the U.S. President Donald Trump as an attack on Venezuelan sovereignty that goes against international law and against truth itself, when the U.S. President described the Venezuelan oil reserves as property of the United States that had been stolen and needed to be given back. That is one of the most recent pretexts to explain, according to U.S. authorities, the deployment of military vessels and troops in the Caribbean Sea that goes against the characterization of the region as a zone of peace promoted by its own leaders. In this context is that we are seeing this celebration for the 195th anniversary of Simón Bolívar's passing, and we are looking at the event right now where we see live images with the Venezuelan authorities taking part in this commemoration that, in the framework that we were just describing, becomes even more significant. Not just the memory of something that happened or begun 195 years ago, but the truth of the current struggle of the Venezuelan people, who have maintained on the streets. Let's continue listening to a little bit of what is happening there in Caracas.
no era para menos el genio de América que gozó de cuna de oro. Lo entregó todo, su cuerpo, su vida y su riqueza, por la emancipación continental. Su infinita grandeza y su incomparable magnitud de líder labraron de forma indeleble el destino de nuestra...
We're looking at live images at this moment, as we were saying, from the 195th anniversary of Simón Bolívar, as we were seeing live images in Caracas at this event. At the moment, we're seeing that different national authorities were present in that moment as the legacy, the life, and the struggle of the liberator Simón Bolívar was being celebrated 195 years after his passing. We continue to look at images live from Caracas from this event that is now underway. We were stressing the importance of the presence of the different authorities, Venezuelan authorities, at this moment, not only because of the importance of Liberator Simón Bolívar, but also because of the powerful image that it sends at a time in which Venezuela's sovereignty, natural resources, and their possibility and right to self-determination, to the possibility of choosing their own development projects, are once again under attack by imperialist forces, in this case by the United States, who has recently threatened with imposing a naval blockade. Let's continue to listen to the music. And the images and the music from Caracas at this anniversary, number 195th of Simón Bolívar's passing, the homage paid to the liberator and the leader that continues to inspire the process of the Bolivarian Revolution, that inspired Commander Hugo Chavez at the beginning of the most recent process of the Bolivarian Revolution, and continues to be at the forefront of the struggle at this moment. We were talking about the importance of a struggle at the moment in which Venezuela showed its capacity of confronting powerful empires, as one of the most common and famous quotes from Simón Bolívar says, the possibility of a people united in pride and sure of its own capacities and resources, be able to face the most powerful of empires. And that continues to inspire today. You continue to look at images from Caracas at this moment. The act is underway, a representation that is paying homage to the leader, the liberator, Simón Bolívar, who continues to inspire the process. These are live images. Let's listen to some of what is happening at this moment.
I have loved my fellow man more than me myself. My endless fight was for the poor people, for the ones who has at the back the historical weight of slavery. I have given all my fortune. Look at my face. It's the face of an old man. I am only 47 years. If I show my butt, would you like know why my soldiers call me the iron ass? Just callous what I have, no skin. My endless fight. The betrayals had made me die slowly. Why? Why death follows me? My father, my mother, my wife, my soldiers, the great Colombia. Why? And my only big friend, Sucre. I have planted in the wind. I have plowed in the sea. I have a victim of my pursuers who have conducted me to the doors of the cemetery. I forgive you, Colombians. My last votes are for the happening of the homeland. If my death contributes to stop the parties and stop betrayal, I will go easy to the coffin. We don't owe anything to death. Death could not erase our thinking, our libertary war. We have won the big battle. Our glory is safe. Long live our homeland, Simón. No. We don't owe anything to death. We owe to life.
Images from the most recent event underway in Caracas, homage of the 195th anniversary of Bolivar's passing. What we are also seeing on screen is the words of the President of the National Assembly, Jorge Rodriguez. We had been following this as well. As we were saying, one of the other events that is underway at this moment, a day of great activity in Venezuela, hours after the U.S. escalated its recent threats and threats of the usage of force, the sovereignty of the country. And we've been seeing the different branches of power expressed their rejection. In this case, we are looking at images from the National Assembly. Let's listen to the National Assembly President, Jorge Rodriguez.
And I think that it is not that Venezuelans are more courageous than other inhabitants from other countries in the planet. It's not that we are more courageous, but we are decent people. And there is something, a veteran from the Vietnam War that was referring to Venezuelan soldiers. Don't get wrong, don't get confused. It is incredible, the love that they have for their homeland, that the soldiers from Venezuela have. Then, after the threat, he says, till we give back to the United States all the oil, the lands, another assert that was previously stolen from us. But the first advisor from Donald Trump, that without he assessed that they have to kill all of us. It is a shame. Confessing a homicide intention. It's really incredible. In the current epoch, that Mr. Miller said today, listen to this. The sweat, the intelligence, and the effort from United States created the oil industry in Venezuela. Its tyrannic expropriation was the biggest theft register of properties of United States. These asserts were used to then finance the terrorism and flood our streets with assassins, mercenaries with drugs. It was said by the next boss, the next chief, because a Vanity Fair, it is hanging without being a mango. Now it comes that as Panama Channel, the oil of Venezuela belongs to them, to the gringos. The oil industry, minerals, and the lands. Look, Mr. Miller, this is the Constitution of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. With all the respect that you do not deserve, I will read the Article number 12. The minerals, just resources, anyone that its natural could be. I don't know if you remember that in the 90s, the biggest oil reservation, that is the Orinoco Strip, they call them bitumen. They said that was all something like the coal to be sold by cents to be given as a gift to the gringos that are in our national territory. It is in the continental platform, belongs to the Venezuelan Bolivarian Republic. They are goods for the people, and they can be aligned Article number 13, Mr. Miller, from our Constitution. The national territory could never be given, trespassed, rented in any way to a temporal, partially, to foreign states or another international subjects. The geographical Venezuelan space, it is a zone of peace. They couldn't be established military bases or installation foreign intervention that have in any way, in some ways, military proposals on the side of any power or coalition. We are not more courageous than anyone. The only thing is that we are decent people, Mr. Miller. And also we are patriots. And we love. And when we say love, I am referring to the 30 million of Venezuelans, less some bastards. 30 millions, less a few lacays. We are full of love for this land, for this homeland, for this land where the rest of our parents, grandparents are resting, where the biggest man that have been known in this continent, and I dare to say, this planet gave his existence to transcendent as the biggest example of independence, of combat for the people of the world. It is clear which is the intention. And that confessed intention said by Donald Trump and ratified by Miller and Corina Machado on her knees has generated such an outrageous thing in the Venezuelan people that today more than ever we are ready to defend our land. I'm referring to everyone. Bernabé Gutiérrez said very well, and Timoteo Santano too, with people that are not Chavistas, and they say that. I am not Chavista. I am not Chavista, but I am ready. I'm not a member of the revolution or the Socialist Party, or I am not Maduro, but I'm not allowed to my kids being robbed to what they belong to. It is true that United States built that enterprises, that companies. They owed us because they stole the oil from Venezuela, with all the oil that it was taken away from there. 7 million under the level of sea. All the oil, all the asphalt that they take out from there. That's the truth. If the dignified president and dear lawmakers, I would like to say rapidly make effort in this assembly to Isaías Medina go to the national pantheon, to the hero from Venezuela as he deserves. It was enough to the dignified president with the courage. We are not more courageous than anyone, but we are decent, with the decent that characterizes it for being Venezuelan and an exemplar of Andina. He went to United States, and in the Congress of United States he said, Look, at least 50-50.
Por lo menos 50-50.
At least 50-50.
Y cuando la chucuta y fallida nacionalización del petróleo,
And when the failed nationalization, they let over there just all iron after destroying
después de haber destruido
the Maracaibo Lake, after destroying
la ecología
the
del lago de Maracaibo.
ecology of the Maracaibo Lake, and we paid.
Es absurdo,
It is outrageous.
absolutamente extravagante.
It is absolutely outrageous.
Es casi como decir que la Tierra es plana.
It is almost like saying that our planet is flat,
Que a eso nos han llevado las redes
because
sociales.
that is what the web are saying. There are people that say things like this,
O que diga que la Tierra es plana
or that say that the land is flat,
y que tengamos
the earth is flat, and we have to take some minutes of our time to tell them, no, land is not flat, the earth is not flat. The same thing.
es absurdo
It is outrageous that we have to
insistir en verdad
insist in truth.
Es absurdo,
It is outrageous,
es absolutamente extravagante
absolutely, that we have to say
que hoy más que nunca
that today more than
la
ever,
tierra de Venezuela le pertenece
the
a los
Venezuela land
venezolanos.
belongs to the Venezuelan
El
people.
Venezuela le pertenece a las
It
venezolanas,
belongs
a los venezolanos.
to the
El oro
Venezuelan.
de Venezuela le pertenece
The oil belongs to Venezuela. The gold belongs to the Venezuela. The sky of Venezuela belongs to the Venezuelans. The seas and rivers from Venezuela belongs to the Venezuelans.
La historia
The history
violenta de América
of
Latina
Latin America belongs to the Venezuelans,
porque de esta
because
sangre derramada
from this shed blood emerged the liberty of this continent.
ya sabemos
We know
cuál es el plan.
what the plan
Que no
is.
vengan otra vez,
So don't come again.
vuelvan a hablar entonces de
Don't come then speaking about drugs anymore.
y esto sí es
And this is
el tema de los enfermos mentales.
the issue of the mental
Yo soy psiquiatra.
illness. I am a psychiatric.
En el servicio de psiquiatría
I am a
del
shrink.
Hospital Universitario de
In the
Caracas,
service of the military hospital, there were 16 beds.
el promedio, ustedes saben que las hospitalizaciones psiquiátricas
The-
duran,
The property, they last.
no son hospitalizaciones para una
They are not
para-
in the hospital.
generalmente el promedio de duración de una hospitalización psiquiátrica
The
es de
duration,
4 semanas.
it is about 4 weeks, at least.
En Caracas,
The admission
digamos que
in Caracas,
todo el territorio nacional habrá
well,
tanto,
in,
exagerando.
in all the national territory, in the psychiatric hospitals,
¿Cuántas camas?
how many beds?
Si el del clínico era de las más grandes
The
servicios psiquiátricos.
clinic was one of the biggest,
100 camas.
100 beds.
¿Cómo se le ocurre a alguien decir
How
que
how
nosotros
dare
mandamos
someone to
personas con
say
afección
that we have
mental
100?
y los mandamos para los Estados Unidos a cometer crímenes?
We take out people from a mental institution and send them to USA to commit crimes.
No, si usted revisa
Now, if you check,
si algún venezolano o
if
venezolana
any Venezuelan check
incurso
is
en algún crimen en los últimos
even in any crime,
es casi seguro. Ellos no necesitan
they do not need
enfermos mentales venezolanos.
Venezuelan
Tienen bastantes enfermos mentales
mindset.
que quedaron
They have
absolutamente
many
traumatizados
people that are sick in their mind because they hardly participation in the Vietnam War, in the Iraq War, in the Afghanistan War, and they go back to the United States to shoot the same citizen from the United States. They don't need the Venezuelan mental sick people.
por miles y miles
They have thousands of them
de ese podrido
in that rotten system.
no necesitan.
They don't need.
Por eso tienen a Purdue Pharma,
That is why Burdo Pharma that provoked the addiction to fentanyl to thousands hundreds of thousands to United States citizens. That's why they have the military complex that assassinated millions of people in Vietnam, in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Libya, and in Syria. I propose to incorporate elements that was written by the opposition sector here in the Assembly in the agreement that we're going to call the Council of Sovereignty and Peace. I propose to be on the street together to our people, that our people deserve with their courage and because of being decent, that we, as one Venezuelan more, let's go together in a fusion with them. Our people deserves that we also give shows of decency as they are giving in their daily life. Let's going to take care of the peace. Let's going to take care because the man who maybe you haven't realized all what he's done to defend the peace. Sooner or later, how much Nicolas Maduro has done to preserve the peace of our republic. Together with him, along with Venezuelans, decent and dignified, we are going to take care of peace. But no, we are not going to surrender. We are going to resist. And we are going to defeat them. Thank you, deputies.
The statements of President of the National Assembly of Venezuela, Jorge Rodriguez. The oil of Venezuela belongs to Venezuelans. That was one of the highlights of his speech. We were saying it, and we've been saying it throughout the day. An important day of reactions inside and outside of Venezuela after the United States, with President Donald Trump, decided to escalate tensions and outright aggressions against Venezuela, stating that the country should give back their own oil reserves. And we've been seeing different authorities from the Venezuelan government reject the statements, of course. Let's continue listening to Jorge Rodriguez.
So raise your hands if you are with the agreement. Approved. In consideration, deputies who are in favor of the agreement presented in rejection of the statements done by Donald Trump, in which he is aimed to rob the petroleum and the mineral from Venezuela from this assembly. So raise the hands. It is approved unanimously.
Resolution for which this was summoned, these extraordinary sessions of the National Assembly against the statements of the United States and recent aggressions of Venezuela, has been approved by the National Assembly. This was Jorge Rodriguez, the President of the National Assembly, speaking just now, once again defending the fact that the oil of Venezuela belongs to Venezuelans, no matter what other foreign powers may say about it. We've been seeing different reactions, and we will continue to bring more information on this and other topics, as always, so stay tuned with teleSUR English.